Hi, my name is Diana. I'm the program coordinator at the Buchanan Area Senior Center. Welcome. We are very excited. I love this program, Conversations with Friends. Today we are featuring our Miss Vergie Wolfe. Vergie is our lead for our quilting and sewing group. During COVID, it was a kind of died out program. She came back with so much gusto and enthusiasm and passion. She has grown the program. We have more people that's has ever attended before. They work on quilts. We have made quilts, or not we, they have made quilts. They have been donated to the police department and fire departments here locally. She has made other items. We'll talk about that at the end of the program. She teaches people how to sew. You have first-time sewers and quilters that she's helping lead. She has a wonderful team. They work together beautifully, very fluid, and working together, and it's a wonderful group. Every time you walk by our craft room, you can always hear laughter and chit-chat going on, so it's a very robust group of ladies and who have a lot of fun. And I'm gonna hand it over to you, Missy. So, Vergie, tell me about you, like, where did you grow up? What was your childhood like?
Well, I was born in Batesville, Arkansas in 1931. My father was a farmer, so I grew up as a farm lady, milling hay, chopping cotton, picking it, whatever was needed on there. As I said, he was a farmer, so we moved around a lot because he farmed different people's land.
Okay.
And I don't know, some of them's probably here old enough to realize sharecroppers. And sharecroppers, if you don't know, is when you farm somebody else's land, you get a certain percent of the profits that comes off that land that year. So he did a lot of that before he moved north.
Okay. What brought him north?
Moved here in Buchanan. He worked for Clark Equipment Company.
Okay. Was he one of the groups that, we just had a program recruiting for Clark. Was he
No.
recruited, or how did he get up, how did he learn about Clark?
He moved up here. We had another relative that was got mother and dad to move up here, and they got him on a job at Clark Equipment in several
Okay.
years. He worked for him for over 20 years.
Wow. So how old were you when you moved up to Buchanan?
When I moved up here, I had 3 children at that time.
Oh, so you was an adult?
So I was in my 20s when I
Yeah.
moved up here. Yes.
Okay.
And then as I said, we moved a lot, and then I turned 17, and my parents moved to Beattyville, Arkansas,
Okay.
and there's where I met the children's father, and we got married. So we had 4 children,
Yeah.
and he taught school in Ohio for quite a few years.
Your husband?
Yeah.
Oh,
And,
really?
So then we retired down to Florida for a while. Then I had to move back to Arkansas to take care of my dad before I lost him.
Okay.
So
Was your dad, because you talked, when he got done in Buchanan, did he go back to Arkansas?
well, yes and no.
Okay.
I mean, I was down in when I left here. We went to Florida and spent quite a few years there.
Okay.
And then I had to move back to Arkansas to take care of my father.
Okay.
And so I took care of him, and then, of course, then Malcolm got sick there, and I lost him in Arkansas.
And who was that?
Pardon?
And who was the person you lost? Your son?
My husband.
Your husband? Okay.
Yeah, Malcolm was
Okay.
his name.
Oh, no.
And then I moved from Arkansas to Tennessee because I had a child. My oldest child was living in Nashville. So the children decided I'd better be close to a child. So I moved there. And then I lost him. 03, 200. What year, Johnny? Anyway, I lost Johnny due to cancer.
Okay.
And so the girl said, "Mom, we need you up here closer to us so we can help you in your golden years.
Yeah.
So I figured it was the best move. So that's why I moved back here, is because of them.
3 daughters. So people can't see that, but for people watching, she has her 3 daughters. 2 daughters, and Shirley. You too? Okay.
And then, of course, the other one is like a daughter, but she's my sister-in-law.
Oh, okay. I'm learning as I'm going. I think I've probably been told
And
that.
then the couple that's behind them, my children grew up with them
Yeah.
in
Okay.
Killeen.
Well, good. So Tennessee, you was involved in the senior center down there. Is
I
that
was
what I'm
involved with
hearing?
the center down there, and then I was really involved in a community that was called Fiddler's Grove. It joined the fairgrounds there in Lebanon, but it was a building of its own. I mean, all the houses that's on that, except for 5, was over 100 years old. They were all log cabins, and I helped run the store. And then during the summer, we worked with children. We had classes out there for children that we taught sewing and woodworking and soap making and whatever. And so I did that. I moved to Lebanon in '05, February of '05, and I started that summer with them, and I was with them until I moved up here as a volunteer.
What was your favorite age group?
You know, you take 8 and 10, between 8 and 10, they really want to learn. And that included boys, not just girls. We had as many boys taking sewing and different crafts as we had the girls. And then every once in a while, we sneak a mother in there, because she'd come and say, oh, I want to make that. So, but we had kids camp twice a year in the summertime. And then, of course, during the school year, we had classes from all over that come out and tour the land and get the history of that, and had lunches with us. And then, so we had different schools from different counties that came in as a group. And then we had a lot of groups that's like with, say, in a different town, maybe they'd have a group of club members that would take a tour and come down and go through the village and stuff. It was a very enjoyable time. And I love working with the kids, I really do. We started I think the youngest girl I had sewing was 6. And she made her, before she left, she had a potholder made.
Was she?
And so if you'll get with children, a lot of people say they don't want to learn, but 90% of the time, those children want to learn something. So it was fun.
Good. Good. And then we have, we talked about what brought you to Buchanan, so you already told us about that information. Then what else you would tell us about you?
Well, I think what I like about working out here at the center is I get to meet a lot of different people. We learn something each and every day from each other. And as you said, we do have a lot of fun. And we don't hold her down, we bring it up. So we do laugh. And she has shut the door on me several times when they'd have somebody in here. And because my voice is loud due to having a sister who was deaf till she was almost 11 years old, and we didn't know it. So we all in the whole family talked loud because of her. And I never lost it. After God.
Well, they have a lot of fun, like I had mentioned before. And they work, but they're always working though. It's not like they're just sitting. They're moving and they're grooving and they're talking and they're laughing. So they're very productive.
We have one lady that come in and signed up this year, has never sewed in her life. She said she had never sewed. She had a sewing machine. So And the first thing we had to do is really teach her how to do a 1/4-inch seam and sew straight. But she's having a ball while she's doing it. But now she's sick, so when you're saying a prayer, keep her in your mind, because she probably will be out for at least another month. And so we're anxious for her to come back. But anybody can learn to sew. Ask Pauline, she can tell you. She hated school, sewing. She comes to Arkansas one week to visit me and her dad. She said, Mom, I want to learn to quilt. Okay, you're not here long enough for me to teach you. I gave her a sewing machine. I said, you go back to Stevensville and you tell those girls you want to get in class and learn how to sew. And she did. She made her own drapes.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
So, but Shirley has always hated sewing.
Did your mom sew a lot when you was young? Was she always in front of this? Yeah. Did you make their clothing then?
Oh, yeah.
I used to make Pauline's clothes. I didn't make too much for Shirley because she didn't like the way I made them. But my mother started me out sewing when I was between 7 and 8. And back then, the quilting frames was on the ceiling, and you roll them down, and you could quilt, and then when you was done quilting, you could roll them back up. Well, most of our mom's frames was over our dining table, and being one of 8 children, the table was pretty big, okay? And so I would stand there, because I couldn't sit and sew, I was too short. So I would take the needle, pull it up through, bring it back down. I could do 1 stitch at a time. I finally got where I could put 3 stitches on. But I'd done most of my quilting and sewing after I was 13. That's when I really done a lot more of my sewing. And and I learned to keep my fingers away from the sewing needles too. Mother and Dad was out milking one morning, and I was 13, and I was sewing something in it before I went to school. She always told me to keep that finger away. Well, I didn't. The needle went straight down through it. I screamed. She heard me from the outside, come running in, turned the machine backwards, pulled it out, and Dr. Dick said, now get ready to go to school. No. And at that time, we walked to school. We did not ride a bus. We'd walk about 3 miles or better, there and back. So, but I've always enjoyed doing different things. I don't just do sewing. I do other crafts stuff. The only thing I don't do is I don't do knitting or crocheting.
Okay. What other kind of crafts do you enjoy doing?
Oh, I have lots of things that I make that I do, and I do what we call string angels. And you'd make them out of the yarn, little angels and stuff. And then also, I learned to do cornchuck dolls. Those are fun to make. And then when I was a child, the mothers in the community took their old bed sheets or anything they could tear, and they would tear them about like an inch and a half wide, and they'd make cloth dolls that the girls could take to church. And these were called church dolls. You could drop them, and they made no noise in church. So I taught children how to make those a lot too.
Oh, wow.
So, and I'm all the time more to learn something, you know. And many years ago, my mother said to me, you will learn something every day of your life. And that's pretty well true. You will always
you
learn
learned that a
something.
long time
You'll
ago.
always learn something.
Oh, what a wonderful gift she gave you for you to be aware of learning. So awesome. Now, did you do crafts when you were young, or not really? Were you busy doing other things? Because she's a busy lady. I mean, she is the Energized or Buddy Rabbit. This lady, 90 years old.
I'll be 91 May 1st.
Okay, so oh my gosh, so just a few weeks. She's amazing. She puts us all to
As
shame.
Paulette can tell you, after she entered the family, she married my brother, one of my brothers. Our mother, at the end of the garden season, which I always raised a big garden, we ladies would get together with Mom, and we would make vegetable soup for whoever was there helping. And Mom was all the time doing something like that. She was quilting. She did more quilting than she did anything other things. But she would make clothes for me every once in a while. She could make her own patterns, and that I can't do.
100 plants? Wow.
Your dad, 100 tomato plants every year.
Pardon?
He would put out 100 tomato
Yeah.
plants every year.
He would put out a garden, almost a 5-acre garden, but that included his corn, our popcorn, our sweet potatoes, our arch potatoes, and
Okra.
he always planted this stuff, and he'd take care of it, but we all had to pick it and can it. He stayed away from that part.
Wow.
But Dad he'd always put the garden out for Mom.
Wow.
And go to work at Clark's at night.
Pardon?
And go to work at Clark's at night.
Yeah.
Where did you go? Where in Buchanan did you grow up at?
In Glean's where I was at.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The
Out in the
children all
country?
graduated in Glean School.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah, I lived in Glean.
Gotcha.
And then I worked for the Gerber Company for almost
Oh, yeah,
11
just down the
years.
road there, Three Oaks, right?
Yeah, I worked for them almost 11 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then I had my own shop. I did interior decorating. I did drapes.
The
quite a
sewing and
few years,
everything?
Yeah. And basically that's about actually my life, really.
Yeah. Busy. Lived a lot of beautiful places.
Arkansas, if you're going to Arkansas, yeah, there's lots of pretty places in Arkansas to live. And I've learned every state that I've been in has always got some,
Beauty.
yeah, let you go.
Yeah. Well, we're so grateful for you to be here at the center.
Well, I enjoy it,
Yeah.
or I wouldn't be here.
Yes. What else do we have here?
And our sewing, what we started out, when I first got here, they were doing just a quilt block a month in there. And when I took it over, I had a talk with one of the other girls that helps me, who's, her name is Mary. I decided that I wanted you to tell me what you wanted to make. Maybe you'd want to do quilts. Maybe you'd want to do, maybe make a dress or something. Whatever you want to do, that's what we were doing in here. We're not doing you're not doing just quilts. You're going to do whatever you would like to do. This lady here, she don't sew, but she does embroidery work. She brings her embroidery work and sits in there, embroideries.
Yeah, because it's a fun
and
group
has
to
much
be
fun
around.
as we do.
And learn.
So, and then of course on Fridays we do have a different club here, which is really great.
Yeah, that's Fiber Friends, and that's where they actually do the knitting and the
Knitting,
crocheting.
crocheting.
And we have one person who does cardstock, makes cards and they make their own envelopes. So we have two people actually doing that right now.
Yeah.
We just, during the point, it's just a wonderful place to come and socialize, get you out of the house, being around people, and an opportunity just to have some fun, talk,
The
share.
girls and I get together every once in a while, and we have game nights,
Yeah.
so.
What kind of games do you like to play?
Which one I like the best?
5 pounds.
5 Crown.
All right, what's that?
It's a card game.
A card game?
Card game, yeah. But it's good to get out. I did worry about some of our seniors during this COVID thing, because there's a lot of ladies and gentlemen, but more ladies than gentlemen, that does not do anything. All they do is sit and watch TV. And I know that it was hard on them. For myself, I can sew a while, I can watch TV for a while, play a game on my computer. So I was not bored, or nor did I get cabin fever. But
Wow.
I know that we had to have a lot here.
Yeah, it
then.
affected a lot of our
Yes.
patrons, the community,
So-
the world.
So this is why this community center is actually a wonderful place to be. So anytime I see a lady, in fact, I was supposed to have a lady to meet me today and she canceled. Somebody I met, she was gonna come up and look at her room and thought about coming back sewing. So I don't know if she'll come or not, but if she does, she'll be welcome. And, as Pauline can tell you, that I have volunteered on a lot of things, even when they were in school. If they needed a volunteer for go on trips with the kids on the bus, I've done that. I try to make my life where I can do what I want to. I don't have to stay in if I don't have to. If I have to go somewhere and the weather's bad, Pauline, I need to go to town. So they got me up here for that, so I'm not too proud to call on them when I need them. I have one son that lives in Florida that I don't get to see too often, and probably won't for a long time because he's got that COPD real super bad, so it's hard for him to get out. But I do talk to him, so.
So do you think the secret, or what,
Pardon?
the secret of you feeling young and living a young life is by keeping busy, by keep learning, doing things?
Well, I think a lot of it's due to my mother because she was always a goer. She was always doing something.
Okay.
And I think that was it. And of course, I was kind of young when I had my children. I'm only like 20 years older, 18 years older than Johnny, 20 is hers. So
Yeah.
my children were all young, and I think I stayed young with them.
Okay.
And then, of course, as I said again, and then, of course, my father lived to be almost 93. And I have some of his relatives who are over 100 when they passed. So I think I just try to stay busy.
Yeah, because your mind is sharp.
If my hearing was better, I'd be okay.
Oh, you're so adorable.
I am losing some of my hearing, as I may make you repeat sometime, as the girls can tell you that I do. But other than that, I feel pretty good.
Yeah, you're awesome.
So, but if you notice, I do walk with a cane, but I do that because I know that I could fall easy. So I do use it. And I'm not proud to say that I do.
So what makes you laugh?
What makes me laugh? People being happy. If they're happy, I'm happy, and a good joke.
You have a good joke you want to tell us?
No.
Okay. So let's talk about what you're doing here at the center. Like I said, she is doing a lot here, and she's using some of the material that has been collected over the years in the quilting and sewing group. And she is making these shopping bags right here, and they are for sale. We have already, this is really nice, thick material.
Yeah, we've had a lady or gentleman, and a lady, lost her mother, had donated a lot of drape material, upholstery material, and I made a statement to Adam one day, we need a place where we could sell some of the stuff we make. So Adam made me a place. I have a thing up front. So we got that, and then we also make the bows that goes in your microwave. Now these size will hold a pretty good sized bow. I'm making some smaller ones now. And that's what we do with the fabrics that they donate to us. Goes back into the center here. And in case nobody knows it, we're getting a new sunroom out there. So a lot of our money's going out there right now.
Yeah, so it's a great donation, thank you. Yeah, so these are for sale, so you can just see one of us at the front desk. And like I said, there's material, first of all, let's go back to this real quick. Because you use very specific material for the padding
Yeah.
in these, so they won't catch fire.
Yeah, it's a special batting, and it's sew and zip or something like that. I forget now what it's called.
Yeah.
I got a whole boat of it at the house right now, that we put inside of them, so that several years ago, I made several, and I sell them at craft shows when I work at craft shows. I had a lady, one of my customers, come up to me and said, Vergie, I don't know what happened, but my bowl caught fire. So I called the Warm and Natural company and talked to the president of the company that day. And I told him what had happened. He said, let me get back at you. And so within about 2 or 3 weeks, I got a phone call from him, and he said, don't use that material no more. We found out that there's an element in the material that's causing the fire. They took that element out and did the fabric all over again. So far, I've never had anybody tell me they caught fire. But you should, if you don't use that, you should make sure you use 100% cotton. Because if it's not 100% cotton, it will catch fire in your microwave.
And so we have several different materials inside the quilting area. So if you want to schedule an appointment to meet with Vergie to say, okay, let's see what you have. I want a shopping bag, but I specifically don't want this one. What can you do?
We let you go through the fabric and pick it out. If you want it, then we make it.
Okay. So, yeah. Okay, Vergie, my last
You
question.
didn't bring yours, did you?
It's in the car. It's very near me. I love her.
Would you mind?
I'll get
You
her.
run and get it?
Yeah.
This one here, I started making it. She said, that's mine.
Yes.
Before I ever got it done,
Right.
that's mine.
Yeah.
I make them different ways. Don't think this one has any pockets in it. No, this has no pockets in it. So this basically would be for your grocery shopping. If you were going, I don't put pockets in those. But what she shows you will be different.
And this is nice too. 'cause
Also, I
it's
make
easy to
purses
hold.
too.
So while we're waiting for Anita to come back, what bit of wisdom would you like to share with all of us?
The what?
Bit of wisdom?
Wisdom?
Wisdom.
You didn't ask me that question.
I think it's on my list. It's on my list.
Don't be afraid to try something. If you think you would like to learn something, learn it. Like paper piecing, for instance. Her and I both are planning on hoping we get that done. If you want to go skiing, go skiing. I don't. But I think what we do, a lot of times we'll say, I can't do that. I don't think I can do that. You don't try. If you don't try, how you gonna learn to do it?
What's the one thing that you have done that you was kind of had that fear of doing, but you stepped into
When
that
I
fear and
learned
did
to
it?
make drapes,
Oh,
when I
really?
did interior decorating, yes, I was scared to death to take that class. But I did drapes for like 30 years.
Wow.
Okay, this bag, I was making this bag in there one day, and I didn't even have hardly any of it done. That's my bag. Inside, it has pockets all the way around. She has pockets all the way around on the outside. So she can use that for just about anything. So we do that. And then I either put buttons on them or we put snaps on them. So if, like I say, now of course this fabric I bought myself. So when she bought this one, it was mine. But let's say you decided you wanted something like that built. As I said, we've got lots of different upholstery fabric that would make really nice shopping bags or bags
Craft
like that.
bags. People, put their crafts in, book bags.
Yeah, book bags, yeah.
Any questions from our guests today? Anything else you want to share with us, Miss Vergie? Oh, sorry, Gracie.
This has been really interesting because I had no idea she was born in Arkansas.
You were born in Arkansas.
I was born in Arkansas.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Black Oak, Arkansas.
Wow.
Black Oak, is that near you, do you know? Were that near each other?
Black Oak.
No.
Okay.
But how old were you when you moved up north?
When I moved up here, I was in my early 20s. I learned to drive a pickup truck outside of Buchanan.
Yeah.
Is where I learned to drive and took my driving test in St. Joe, or Benton Harbor. So, yeah. Shirley, Pauline, and Johnny was babies when I was small, when I came up here. Paul, I was expecting him,
Oh, okay.
and he was born here in South Bend.
Okay.
So,
Did your husband, did he work for Clark too?
he was a school teacher in Ohio.
Oh, school teacher in Ohio. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what you did say that. What
He
grade?
taught in Arkansas for about 2 years, and then he went to Ohio
Okay,
because he got better paid there.
yeah.
He taught for a little over 30 years, and he was a shop math teacher, anything but English.
Okay.
He
So
hated
it's upper
English.
grade or,
He hated high school,
Secondary.
yeah,
okay.
yeah. He hated English with a passion. But he was a good math person.
That's good.
I could be doing an estimate figures on a drape job, and I'm writing these numbers down, how wide they are and stuff like this, so I could do them in yards. Well, when I'd get through and I'd have a list about that long, when I'd get done, if he was anywhere around, he'd tell me what the answer was before I got it added up. So he was good at math, and my children took after him, not me.
Yeah. Numbers people. Oh, well, good.
But, yeah.
Anything else? Anything about your passion with the sewing as a
No.
child? Anything?
Basically about it.
Yeah.
Just try to do what somebody else wants to do, and then if somebody else, if the girls are in there busy doing their thing, well, then I'll sit and sew on something. If not, then I'll stop and work with them. We have a lady that, and I'm really proud of her top. We have a lady that's sewing some service, 2 quilts. And she had a great big block. She wanted it in the middle, okay? How am I gonna put these little blocks with that in there? So we went in that room, we figured it out. Cuts in here. Figured it out, but she's doing a beautiful job on it. And she didn't know what to do. It just, you can always work something out,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, good. Thank you so much for being
wait,
here.
wait, no,
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa.
I let you go. No.
Now, you could ask that in the sewing room.
I would like, number one, your vegetable soup recipe.
So we did vegetable soup recipe.
Yes, like that.
Huh?
Your vegetable soup recipe?
Yes.
That we
That could
can.
go in the
You
newsletter.
want it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll bring it up next Tuesday when we come up for sewing.
And I had a church down.
Huh?
I had a church down.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did.
Did you make it or your mom
My
made
mother
it?
made it and it was noiseless, yes.
Yes. Oh.
It's a vegetable soup recipe that actually is supposed to be for somebody that's trying to lose weight. okay?
That's great.
But you can always add stuff to it to make it where it's not. And it's such a good vegetable soup that I really like it, but it makes a big old pot.
That's okay.
So you gotta be prepared to put some of it in the freezer, cause it makes a good
I will.
sized pot.
Now, did you do any canning as you got older?
Oh, yeah,
With-
I canned all the time.
Even after your
My
had the farm
mother
anymore or the garden?
Was quite a canner. And she would can fruits, meats, and veggies,
Oh, really?
about 3,000 quarts a year.
Oh my God.
And she hadn't done that. Us children probably wouldn't have lived very long. Because it was, being a farmer, you don't make that much money. You're lucky to buy the flour, sugar, and coffee, salt, pepper, stuff like that. But my mother Dad would kill all the way from 3 to 5 hogs a year, okay? We had smoked bacon, we smoked ham, we had salted bacon, salted ham. She would take her sausages, and ooh, I hated that job. She would roll her sausage in little balls and deep fry them till they was brown a little bit on the outside. She'd pack them in half-gallon jars, pour that hot grease over them, seal them, put them in the pressure cooker and pressure cook them. During the winter, when we wanted sausage and gravy and biscuits, my dad would get a jar and set it out on the cook stove, and when Mother got up, it was melted enough so she could get it out. So we would have our sausage and eggs and homemade biscuits.
That's a beautiful memory.
Yes. So, yes, Daddy, when he planted his garden, as I said before, he planted popcorn, okay. Our popcorn was way over on that side of the field, and our sweet corn was over here.
Oh my goodness.
We raised our own popcorn. We never bought popcorn ever.
So, did you sell it? Or is
No,
it just for
we
yourself?
just our family use.
And how did you cook it?
Popcorn?
Yeah.
In an iron skillet on top of the stove.
There you
And
go.
shake it.
Yeah, Jiffy Pop's got.
No microwave.
I agree.
Diana, I have a question.
Yes.
Vergie, how many siblings did you have? How large was your family? And your dad was a sharecropper. So when you went from farm to farm, did the whole family, you relocated
Oh, yeah.
to different homes?
Okay, I'm one of 8, okay, oldest of 8. Sorry to say that there's 3 of us left now, sister and brother. Yes, we all moved, and why we moved so much is that, all right, say this farmer hired him to do his land. Maybe he would only want him for 2 or 3 years, and they'd either wind up selling it or something would come wrong. Or a higher paying job would go to some other farmer. It depended on. What he would do, Dad would do, he would go in and let's say he was raising a patch of cotton. He'd do all that cotton stuff. Us children, and mind you, from 6 up, took care of all the weeding and stuff. We called it chopping cotton. We'd get the weeds all out of it. 90% of it, we picked it all, us kids did. Dad didn't hire nobody. But then when he didn't have any cotton to be picked, us kids would go to somebody else's field and work out. Most of the time, when you did the sharecropping, the owner of the land got 40% of what was of the profit, and the one that put it in, like with Daddy, he got 60 because he paid for the seed and stuff that planted everything. So it was like 40-60. We did a lot around Batesville. We did a lot around Newport. Oh, by the way, I forgot one story. I worked for Sam Walton too. I'll tell you that in a minute. Then we went out to Newport, and this is all in Arkansas. And we did a farm out there for about 3 different years. That year, I was I had turned 15 out there. That's the year I started working for Sam Walton, that owns the Walmart stores. He had a store that was a 5 and dime store. And they were good friends of my parents, so I got to work for him on Saturdays. No Sundays, no Wednesdays. So while I was in school, I could work only Saturdays. I did not drive. My dad had to drive me into work every day and come back and pick me up. And we closed at 5 o'clock. And so, and as I said, I worked for him, but I'd say about a year and a half that I worked for him. First boss, other than my dad, I ever had in my life. But one of the best experiences I believe I can say I ever had, because he taught me how to handle a customer. Is one thing about it. You didn't go in there that you didn't have a smile on your face, no matter how bad you felt, because that person that comes up to you may feel worse than you do, and if you got a bad smile on your bad face, they're gonna feel worse. So you want to make them happy, he would always say.
Sam Walton said this?
Mr. Walton would say that, yeah. Of course, he would say them to me.
Yeah.
And his wife was also a crafter. She had her own craft shop up in Missouri for years. If, let's say, a customer come in and if he thought I was a little sharp with that customer, or if I didn't make them feel quite welcome, he would walk around in the store and directly, first thing you know, he'd be standing in my back, come to the office when you get a chance. Nobody heard that but me.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep, there you go.
When I'd go in, I've had him to do it 2 or 3 times to me. And he'd say, you know, that customer asked you something and you remember how you answered it? Well, of course, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. And he'd say, now, let's think a minute. How could you have answered that to make them feel better? That's the way you'd use it. How would you use it if you stop and think to make them feel better? Not you feel better, but that customer feel better. I remembered all of that stuff when I opened my shop. I had a lady come in one day, madder than a hornet, as the old saying goes, because the customer that taught her into buying a certain color drape, she thought it was my fault, and it was not my fault. She come in, I mean, hit the ceiling. And I stood back and I thought of Mr. Sam then. What am I going to do? Well, I talked her out of it with a smile on my face. But you can handle different things a different way. It's what he was trying to teach me to do. So I tried to use that in there. So and my dad, his words were, you treat people like you'd want to be treated. You don't treat them mean. And it's right, you do. And I've seen my dad take an awful lot of stuff.
Oh.
So, and keep from, yeah.
Very kindness, very kind man.
Dad was. No flirt, but he was a good kind of man.
Now we're getting to the good stuff. No, I'm teasing. So,
He was.
oh, wow.
He was a hugger, wasn't he, hon? You can remember, Dad.
Your mom's the one that tickled me.
Huh?
Your mom's the one that tickled me.
Yeah?
I used to go in the house and she'd make me a ketchup sandwich.
They all called her Aunt Ivy.
She fed everybody in the neighborhood.
Oh. Wow. Any other questions?
So, I've had a good life. I really have.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had some bad times, just like everybody else,
They help us
But
grow.
overall, I've had some good lives, yeah.
Oh.
And I've had some very good children, too.
Yeah.
So, I took care of Mom.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
The only thing is, Johnny would come up to some of his friends, talk to them. I'd be standing there. Who's that guy? Who's that lady? I'm thinking. One day we got away and I said, Johnny, one of these days I'm going to embarrass you. He said, why? And I said, every time I come up next to somebody and you know I don't know him, you don't introduce me. Well, one day I did. I got him a good one. I taught him. He didn't do it no more.
How did you get him? Yeah, what did you do?
Huh?
What did you do?
to
Do you remember
get
what you
him?
What
did?
did I do? He was standing in front of a customer, a friend of his, and was talking away in the store, and I said, excuse me. I hit him on the arm. I said, it would be nice if you introduced me to your friend. Oh, his face got as red as your jacket. But he never done that no more. This is my little mama, he would say. This is my little mama.
Oh, well, Vergie, thank you so much. Thank you for being vulnerable and coming today, because I know this is not easy. But thank you so much for sharing your stories with us, and it's so important, and I'm so honored and grateful that you did take the time to be
Thank
with us
you.
today. Thank you so much.
You
Thank
know
you,
I enjoy
everybody
it.
here. We do appreciate it. Thank you. Keep doing what you're doing.